Hello, I'm Dr. James.
And I'm Dr. Laura, and welcome to NBS Live Online.
You know, NBS is over 20 years old, and we've introduced many firsts to our industry. We were the first to have the fill-in-the-blank workbooks. We knew that would increase your participation and memory. And then we added some color-coding ideas and skills, and after that we had test-taking skills that are added to every presentation that we do. And finally, we've learned multi-sensory teaching techniques that really enhance your recall, and finally we've layered that with critical thinking layering skills to help you really enhance your success in practice.
Yes, and we've also taught students from all over the world. Many of them even fly from overseas to come and see our courses. We have a very unique thing called edutainment style, which is not only learning and good information, but fun in doing so.
We're going to give you a sample of that with cranial nerves. Are cranial nerves on part 1?
Oh, yes.
Part 2?
Yes.
Part 3? Part 4?
Yes.
PT?
Yes.
In your door as a chiropractor? Okay.
You need to know them.
So before we get started, let me ask you a really critical question. Do you think that the nervous system controls and coordinates all functions of the body? Of course you do.
Yes, good.
So if we're going to help your brain out, if you listen, you have one pathway to information in your brain. But if you write something down while you're listening, you have 2 pathways to that information in your brain. If you actually do something with this and participate, you'll have even more pathways to that information, so you can see how that's going to increase your odds of recall and success on a test. And that's multisensory learning.
Absolutely. So let's try cranial nerves 3 and 7.
All right, take it over.
Okay, let's get your number 3 fingers, and we're going to take the eyelid and we're going to have it close, and 3 is going to open the eyelid. Now let's make a 7, and cranial nerve 7 is going to close the eyelid. So, how about the other side? Why don't you do the other side?
Okay, so cranial nerve 3 does what? It opens the eyelid, and cranial nerve 7 shuts the eyelid. So 3 opens, 7 shuts.
Absolutely.
So now let's layer that information. What motion do you think is broken if there's a lesion with cranial nerve 7?
Well, when
7 is broken, the eye is open.
Ah, yes, absolutely.
Now let's layer it one more time and stretch that information. So do you think that the main responsibility of cranial nerves 3 and 7 is motor? Or do you think it's sensory? 3, 7. See, those are motor components, so it is mostly going to be motor nerves. Now let's stretch it again and add one more layer to your thinking. So which name would you give a lesion of cranial nerve 7? Would you call it an neuralgia, an algia, or would you call it a palsy? Algia, palsy. Algia is pain, palsy is weakness or paralysis. So a motor nerve will have paralysis, and that's palsy. That's Bell's palsy. Cranial nerve 7 is when the eye is open, unilaterally causing Bell's palsy.
Absolutely. So we've just showed you a little bit of layering and a little sample of our teaching style, and also that terminology is your best friend. Now we're going to include also known as, we're going to include in our sections important definitions. We're going to make sure you have test-taking skills and also some mock quizzing to make sure you feel comfortable before you go into your testing.
We're all going to need cranial nerves in practice, so we carefully select things that we know you're going to utilize and are on all sets of boards. So NBS has already prioritized and selected information to make you successful on your test and recall for your entire practice career.
Absolutely.
Well, let's see if you remember anything about cranial nerves. What cranial nerve opens the eyelid? 3. See, it's easy. With your brains and our teaching techniques, we're bound to be winners together.
Yes, great recall. And sometimes we have some students, though, that get a hold of our notes and think, oh, I've got the NBS board review, but unfortunately, they really don't have it, because without the presentation, it's just not going to be very valuable.
First of all, the person that receives the notes thinks they have the NBS tools, and they misjudge the value of NBS.
Yes.
The notes seem poorly crafted and maybe disorganized unless you take the course. They're uniquely designed to accompany your participation with us.
And then when the person that gifted the notes to someone else and they fail, they come back to them and say, oh, I failed, this is really bad. They feel bad too, so we don't want that to happen.
So let's avoid that. Yeah. We've tried to make this inexpensive and affordable for you, and we can all be winners in this.
Absolutely.
So what we'd like for you to do is not limit your thinking. A brilliant person would never consider doing that. You know, we have a saying about
the mind, yes.
The mind, we do, don't we?
Yes, we do.
The mind's like a parachute. It's best when it stays open.
Oh, we look forward to serving you for your upcoming boards.
Good luck.